As if there weren't already enough cool trails near North Bend, yet another rad one has been added to the Raging River system. This one's called the Canyon Creek Downhill, or as some have dubbed it, CCDH. Sean Lawrence from the Evergreen Mountain Bike Alliance asked the women behind the Sturdy Dirty Enduro series to join the design and building process as trail stewards so they could give design input and organize volunteer dig days. The women from Sturdy Dirty decided that they wanted to build a trail that was going to be super fun for them to ride, which to them meant building a trail that was going to be fun for all skill levels, but also isn't too easy or too hard. Because let's face it, folks, we're all getting older, and the older we get, the longer it takes us to recover when we fly over the bars. Another requirement was that there had to be a trail that they could race the Sturdy Dirty on that would be accessible for a range of different abilities, because it's hard to put on an inclusive race if you don't have a trail that can accommodate a wide range of abilities. In summary, the end goal of this build was to create a spicy blue trail that a lot of people could have fun on. One trail to please us all. Let's see if they succeeded. First, let's talk about how you get to this ride. It's easy. Just start in the Raging River Rattlesnake Mountain parking area and ride up the access trail. One of the things I love about this system is how there is a separate trail entirely that hikers use to access this recreational area, so there are no conflicts between the user groups. Now, when you see this kiosk, go up the trail that's not gated, the stellar climbing trail that we call Upward Mobility. Upward Mobility is a climbing trail, and it's really tame, which is the entire point because it's a climbing trail. It's not really supposed to be challenging. It's supposed to get you to the top without burning up your legs, so you have some spunk left over for the descent. There is, after all, already a plethora of challenging climbs out there, so a nice, shady climb to the top like this is a real gem. Now, I know I'm supposed to hate clear cuts, but man, this particular clear cut on Upward Mobility does open up some pretty remarkable views of Mount Si. Seriously, this view makes me so jealous of the Seattle area. The whole Snoqualmie thing they got going on here is something else. Well, anyway, onward forward. To get to the top of Canyon Creek, you'll need to climb all the way to the top of Upward Mobility up to Stan's Overlook, and then keep going on the Raging Ridge Trail, which is yet another climbing trail. Raging Ridge is a bit more challenging than Upward Mobility, but still totally accessible. You climbed about 1,000 feet to get to the top of Upward Mobility. Now you're going to climb another 1,100 feet or so over 3.8 miles to get to the top of Canyon Creek. Did I mention that this is not a trivial ride? It is not a trivial ride. I mean, it's not quite an epic ride. It's not that long, but it's one of those rides you could do either after work or on a Saturday, and both would feel like you used your time well. At least Raging Ridge, similar to Upward Mobility, is almost completely under tree cover. The shade is a godsend during the summer for sure, and the tree cover helps keep the tread climbable and in good condition. If you've done the Raging Lollipop before, then you already know all about the climbing trail called Return Policy, which is the 1,000-foot elevation climbing trail you use to winch yourself out after descending to the bottom of no service. Well, the top of Return Policy is where you're going to drop in to find the top of Canyon Creek. A very short jaunt on Return Policy will spit you out at this road crossing, where there is now a sign marking the top of the Canyon Creek downhill. Canyon Creek was conceived of and built as a mostly hand-scratched, raw downhill trail, following Evergreen's agile trail design/development philosophy. The basic gist of this is that instead of poring over the design specifics for months or years and waiting to open a trail until after everything is thought to be perfect, you find the best contour on which to build the trail, scratch it in with minimal intervention on the landscape, and then ride it in. After it's been ridden for a while, places where revisions need to be made will make themselves obvious. As of the early 2020s, mountain bikers seem to be preferring more rustic trails, and agile trail design is a way to help accommodate that desire. The three important criteria every trail must meet are that it must be rideable, fun, and sustainable. If it meets those criteria, we put the sign on it and it's good to go. Revisions will be made as needed. The results of this approach are noticeable on this trail from the very beginning. The trail rides raw and minimally processed. The contours are located intelligently and thoughtfully, and catch berms are built where they are needed but no higher than is necessary. A hallmark of hand-built perfection. The part of the forest this trail descends through tends to hold on to moisture until late in the summer, so while it may be muddy most of the year, it was all hero dirt the day I rode it in late July when everything else is usually starting to turn into a dust bowl. The trail does contain a lot of road crossings, but it's very easy to find the trail on the other side of each one, so you shouldn't need guidance with these. This is thick tree farm canopy in here, which makes for a pretty dark forest on a cloudy day and lots of dappled light on a sunny day. I actually had a little trouble finding some of the features in the bright mid-afternoon dappled light of midsummer. Flat light is certainly your friend on this trail. I also recommend clear, yellow, or photochromatic lenses for this whole trail system. Light levels are highly variable. The way this trail was built, the way it rides, represents that perfect compromise between what you want to build and what the terrain wants you to build. Flow and structure of this route sits right in that sweet spot between the two, finding the perfect contour at every opportunity. Also, this trail is unbelievably fun. You can clear everything carefully if you want to be careful, or you can make it super technical and gnarly if you want to find those lines and try to hold your lines while carrying speed through the technical sections. One special note is that while this is definitely a blue trail, that does not mean intermediate riders won't find it challenging. They will. Especially if you're an early intermediate rider, you can expect to dismount for like a feature or two, but unlike a black or a double black, all technical features are completely dismountable and totally walkable without consequence. What I love about Canyon Creek is how it's one of those genuinely raw trails that lies on top of the forest floor more than in it. It twists and turns across the top of the network of forest soil wherever possible, rather than finding the clay underneath. Now, don't let the blue designation fool you. This trail is rowdy. As this trail gets increasingly ridden in, two things are happening. Roots are getting exposed and clearer lines are opening up as well. Bike tires are determining how this trail develops, and it shows in super rowdy fun. Over time, sections will get modified to accommodate wear patterns caused by usage. Just as the trail starts to mellow out a little bit, become a little straighter, a little faster, a bit more pin it till you win it, this awesome little rock roll shows up. I just love coming across little found features like this. If you're riding this with a true intermediate rider, you absolutely need to use this as an opportunity to teach them how to ride rock rolls. It's perfect. It's short, sweet, and fairly low consequence, except for that one stump right in the middle of the run out. Otherwise, it's low consequence. But steep rock rolls are an important skill because they're a conceptual mind opener about the physics of how a bike actually handles or how a bike can handle. So ride this. After the rock roll, the trail becomes noticeably less rowdy but no easier. The grade flattens a bit, sightlines open up, and rollers start appearing everywhere, as well as jibs you can use to pick up speed. This is, by no means, any less fun down here. It's just a very different experience. There are a lot more opportunities to actually lean the bike into your turns without losing traction or snagging your route and going OTB. That's good because the trail is significantly faster through here. This bottom section flirts with flowy all over the place, with some sections of berms and rollers that look like they might have been just barely kissed by a little bit of machine work. The last segment of this trail after this last road crossing is a nice mix between the two distinct personalities of the upper sections, with fast flow that then fires you full speed into techie sections. Then, after this final left-hand berm, the trail shoots you out into the access road at the bottom. Now, if you're out of water, make sure you filter some water from Canyon Creek because you've actually got quite a bit of a climb ahead of you. Oh, did I fail to mention that? This whole Raging River area is all about climbing trails. So here's another one. Located right across the bridge is the Raging Tiger Trail. This is actually the first part of the Raging Tiger Connector Trail currently in process that is going to connect Tiger Mountain and Raging River together. That's right. Someday, you'll be able to ride Raging River and Tiger Mountain as one giant, ill-advised epic ride. Hey, check out this cool bridge. They put it in place using a helicopter. There's actually two of these nifty bridges. Don't fret too much about the climb out. It's actually only 650 feet of elevation over about 3 miles of very well-built hardpack and gravel climbing trail. The first part of the Raging Tiger climb is kind of steep, but then the rest remains quite mellow until you cross a road and just cruise along the ridge line for a mile or two before arriving at this short section of road connector that eventually leads to a short connector called Dash that takes you right to the top of Lower Poppin Tops. So there you have it, 2,800 feet of climbing, 14 miles, grins from ear to ear. So, did Sean and Sturdy Dirty succeed in making a spicy blue line that's accessible to intermediate riders yet still fun for advanced riders? Absolutely. It takes discipline to design a trail like this. It's all too tempting to sneak in big commit or die features, and any advanced rider can come up with elitist nonsense that filters out all but the most intrepid or reckless riders. It's also not a conceptual challenge to build another flow trail, or a park trail for that matter, but we've already got a Predator, a Flow State, and a Nose Service, which are great trails by the way. But this fills a niche that needed filling, something rowdy and fun for people who don't want to go to the hospital today. Good work, Sturdy Dirty. Good work, Evergreen. I'd like to extend my thank you to my subscribers, as well as those of you supporting what I do on Patreon, especially Heather Van Valkenburg, my Hero Dirt level sponsor, who's really waiting for someone else to join her in taking honorable mentions at the end of these videos. If you'd like to support what I do, navigate to patreon.com/voiceovertrails and sign up to support me today. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and as always, get out there and go ride your bike.